We're going to begin today with our first speaker, who comes to us from New York City, but among other things has worked in Ghana. And we're going to be asking Celia Brown to talk to us about her work both in New York City and in Ghana. Who was instrumental in bringing together the peer specialist programs in many parts of the country. As I mentioned, she has directly been involved in Ghana. She currently works for the New York State Office of Mental Health. And Celia, I'm going to welcome you to the podium and get us started on this. Thank you.
So good afternoon, everyone. Very proud to be here. I want to thank Lorraine Ellen, Rich Police, and also Tracy Puglisi for recommending me. And I see a lot of peers in the audience, so it makes me feel really good and supported to be speaking today. So I'm going to talk a little bit about New York City, and I'm going to talk a lot about peer support and my work in Ghana. So in New York City, we have peer specialists who work, a lot of them work for the state mental health system. They're also in community mental health programs. We also have Howard T. Harm advocacy training, which I'm really proud of, that actually trains peer specialists. They have an internship program, and a lot of them move on to competitive employment. We have, which is new, we have a peer counseling academy that's out of Creedmoor Psychiatric Center in Queens, New York, Queens Village. And they came to me one time and said, you know, we'd like to start our own training program. Because even though Howard T. Harm is wonderful, there are some people who would like to be in Queens. So they started off, you know, bringing in speakers and different topics, benefits, peer counseling. And they started off with inpatients first. And after that, they expanded it to outpatients, the outpatient clinics in Queens. And now it's for everyone. They just had a graduation on May 20th. This will be their 9th graduation. Most of the peers that have graduated are now employed, part-time and full-time. So I'm very proud of what they have done at Creedmoor. We have an online academy of peer services, and this is for certification of peer specialists who are going to be working in behavioral health and managed care throughout New York State. A lot of the courses have been done by peers themselves, designed and created the curricula, and there's some core courses that you have to take, but you can go ahead and take the test. And then there's an application that's filled out and sent to the certification peer specialist board. Tracy's one of the board members, and they go over the application, and then you get a, I think it's a provisional certificate. And there have been so many peers that have come up to me and say, look, I have my certificate, I'm certified, I can, you know. So it's a very innovative training online. In this way, even though we have Howard T. Harm, but in my understanding upstate, there's not as many training programs, and we want everybody to, at some point, be certified to work in the managed care environment where they're in. We've had a parachute, Peer One Respite, in New York City. It's now ended in June, and it was a project of the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, funded through the Center for Medicaid and Medicare. And it was really to test this idea of having respites in the community where people wouldn't have to go to the emergency room. So they hired peers in all of the boroughs, and now we have one in Staten Island, and has 3 to 4 beds for people. I visited 2 or 3 of them. It's a very home-like environment. People can go when they're distressed, rather than going to the emergency room, which costs a lot of money. Even though it has ended, the Office of Mental Health has picked it up, and so it continues, but under another name. And also, there was a support line, I think, out of community access that peers could call if they needed support from 5 to like midnight. And there are also support lines across the state that are underutilized, where peers can call just to talk before it hits a crisis, and talk to peers on the line, referrals. So I think it's a good program. We have Baltic Street AEH, Advocacy, Employment, and Housing, and they have been around since the 90s, and they've expanded so much. They have housing programs, Bronx, Brooklyn. They hire peers, their whole staff is peers. They also have a peer bridger program where they work inside of a state psychiatric hospital, and they work with people who are being discharged from 3 to 6 months to help them with that transition into the community. So that has existed for a long time. We now have something called recovery centers. I think I heard someone say that Ruth is running one. And really, recovery centers is sort of like a concept that people can explore their community, like, community integration, like things like, some of our people go to, mental health appointments or medical appointments. They don't know what's in their community. They don't know that down the street is a library or a movie theater, so that they can be part of the community. Because I believe that all of our peers are citizens, and they're not just in mental health, but they're of the whole world. And so Recovery Center has activities where they bring in the community. They can be a church, faith-based organization, so that they can explore some of these things that all of us sometimes take for granted. But it's out there. So mainly I want to talk about peer support. So what is peer support? It's a belief in human potential and that all of us can and will heal. Our vision is to have a full and meaningful life for all. And some components is mutual support, socializing, family. I talk to a lot of peers sometimes, and I get resources from them. They get resources from me. It's conversations. Like when I came here this morning, I met Ruth, I hope she doesn't mind me saying, and we immediately got into like a peer support conversation, and Michael. And we're just talking about ourselves, about our lives, and that often happens in our community, that we have these wonderful conversations that go on. And I just want us to celebrate it, because there's always an issue with mental health, if something happened, but there are people who are really in recovery and trying to stay in recovery, and sometimes they do that by conversations, by mutual support. So I thought of this developing peer support communities, which I will talk about more in the presentation. Love is an important thing in peer support. Acceptance, accepting people where they're at. Not trying to change them or judge them, but be accepting of who they are. And dignity of just being a whole person, not someone who has a diagnosis, but someone who's a person. Mother, father, sister, brother, wife, husband, significant other is very important. Challenges as growth and as a learning opportunity, and I think that happens when we have conversations when we're in support groups or when we're just talking, sitting around talking. It becomes like a learning opportunity. This I found, I love this. And it says, we don't heal in isolation, but in community. And this is my family. So that's my mom on the right, my sister, and that's my grandfather that recently passed away last year. He was 100 years old. That's me, and that's my brother. Family has been very, just has been a rock for me and supportive throughout my life and recovery. Here's some examples of peer support communities. Okay, this is at a conference, but I love this picture. Sometimes pictures, photos tell a story. And it shows how people are having a good time, with the supportive breath. Many of you know some people in the picture. George Padillo, Dan Fisher, Colton Whitmore from the city, and then that's me. And that's Joe Woodward, family picture, me and Yumi, friend. And I love this picture. This is actually at the Bi-County Conference. It was last year. And that's Liz Bryant, Eva Deck, Tracy is in the middle, with Monier and myself. And that's the wonderful Sarah Goodman, at our conference, and that's my supervisor Tony Tryon, who's talking. That's you doing maybe. I'm sure that is, but so these conversations go on outside, outside of a conference. We have these wonderful peer support conversations. Now, one of the things that I like about our community is that when there's something that is needed, we create it. Now, this is at Washington Square Park in New York City, and at the time, there was, a lot of tension, a lot of violence around police brutality. Some, like Eric Gardner and other people you might have heard. So we took this opportunity to actually go to this march, and everybody was there. There were nurses, there were doctors, and they were saying, look, please don't shoot. This is a real issue, and we know that people who have a mental illness and they're distressed, and police are called sometimes, they're killed because they might have a knife, or so they need to be trained on how to deal with people that are in emotional distress. But that's something in our community. So, what ultimately happened is we all wanted to work together. See, it's not just people of color working together, it's all of us working together for a better world. And Tracy did it with the glasses on. So we had a conference call, and we said, what are we going to do as a peer support community? So we created, everyone's on Facebook and social media, so we created a page called Surviving Race, the Intersection of Injustice, Disability, and Human Rights. And we have maybe about 400 members since we just started, and we post things that are going on to give information for people. So conversations go on that particular page. But I'm really proud of this picture, because some of the people in the picture were kind of afraid to come down to something like this in New York City, and not knowing what's going to happen. And there's so many people, as you know, in New York City. And as this event was at Washington Square Park. Now, here's another community, hip-hop recovery. This just happened like 2 years ago. This was an idea from Chuck Rubenthal, who works for the Navi Star Center in Burlington, Virginia. He's always, for the last 10 years, has come up to me and said, look, we need to do something in hip-hop recovery. recovery, because he grew up with hip hop, and he wanted to meet some of the rappers and talk about recovery, because I'm going to say the old school hip hop, I don't know about today, but then it was issues, what people were going through. I mean, I was going through maybe the same thing, and in the music I identified with. And then we have Amanda, Luis Lopez, Matthew. So we created this hip hop and recovery, and we all, I focused on female rappers, and the others, our youngest one, Matthew, focused on, he's next to me, youth and some of the music of today. And next to him is a DJ. So we gave them clips of different songs that had a meaningful for us, that helped us get through depression or anger or breakup or something happening, grief. Music was always there to see us through. So we presented at Diasporas and Peer Specialist Conference. So really, I love this picture. And you know, some of the things that we talk about is that this has really been supportive of all of us. That, you know, who thought I could go back and think about some of the music that I grew up with and bring it into mental health recovery. Who makes up the village of people labeled with psychosocial disabilities, which is another term that is mainly used more internationally. And who are our bridge builders? Mind Freedom Ghana is an affiliate of Mind Freedom International USA, and their purpose or mission is directed towards improving the mental health and lives of persons with psychosocial disabilities in Ghana and promoting their human rights. And they're located in Accra, it's the capital of Ghana. One of the reasons why I started to work for them, or work with them, is that we had a convention on, and this is a longer discussion, but I'm just going to touch on it. The convention, the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities was adopted March of 2006. And what I love about it is this convention was practically written from people all over the world with disabilities who are at the UN every single day. I want to mention Tina Nikowitz and World Network, who really wanted a convention that was a paradigm shift than what we already have. So not viewing people as objects, and we're talking about all disabilities, so psychiatric disabilities, people who are blind, people who are deaf, all of us working together as an alliance. So not being viewed as objects or medical treatment, social protection, or subjects who are capable of claiming those rights and making decisions for their lives based on their free and informed consent, as well as being active members of society. The convention gives universal recognition to the dignity of persons with disabilities. And here's me in the, I just want to give you a short story of how this kind of transition. My father, who's now passed away in 2010, just lived here in the U.S. and decided to move to Ghana. He just always wanted to live in Africa. And as talking to him, and then I was approached by Mind Freedom Ghana, Dan Fisher, and me, who was on the other side, about starting something there around, because the convention was, everyone was trying to start something, really educate the governments about mental health. So this is their office, and while we were there, I was part of a grant to provide training to family members and people with psychiatric social disabilities. Now, the conditions in Africa and maybe around the world, we did visit their psychiatric hospital, which was very interesting. Most of the patients there never leave because their relatives bring them there and don't give wrong addresses, so they wind up staying there. And I got to talk to some of them. It's very traditional, nurses with hats, it's very colonial, and they don't really get out. So here, if you're in a hospital, you can go into the community, there's community services. There, it really doesn't totally exist. So we met with the Deputy Minister of Health about the conditions at across psychiatric hospital. We gave information about alternatives. I remember telling him about the Wellness Recovery Action Plan developed by Copeland. They've never heard of it because they don't really think that someone who has a mental illness can make their own decisions. That the only treatment that they have is taking medication, which is also very scarce there as well. So, you know, we're at the beginning stages of really explaining some of the alternatives, you know, mental health programs that we have in the U.S. And that's me over there. That's Robert Dinerstein from the American Law University. He was part of our delegation. And what's good about this is that Mind Freedom Ghana also works with the Ghana Federation of the Disabled. So it's not totally separated. We're all working together because people that have other disabilities can have emotional distress, can, you know, have issues that we can, you know, work together on. And, you know, a lot of our people now are getting older and in wheelchairs or having, you know, ailments that go beyond them just having a psychiatric diagnosis. Now, in 2011, I just went to Africa because my father actually built a house and I was still building my own organization. And I was invited, sponsored by Mind Freedom Ghana, this wonderful march in July of 2011. And it was about 500 people that marched from one destination to Parliament to demand that the convention be ratified, because it wasn't ratified there yet. It was ratified in March of 2012. So you can see this, God created us all equal. And it was about 500 and more people at this march. Here's the march again. Here's the march again. And I think Rich was saying this is the motto that they also have there, is nothing about us without us. And you can see love, care, wellness, depression. You know, people are fighting for their lives, fighting to be recognized. In Ghana, because of cultural traditions, you know, mental illness is seen as like a curse or something. I didn't really get into, I didn't want to put that slide up, but they do have what they call prayer camps, where, you know, someone is tied to a tree and they're trying to, they fast, they don't give them food, in hopes that whatever demons or whatever spirits will leave them. This is supposed to be like an alternative to the hospital, but it's been it's a human rights violation, basically. So I think that peer support continues, and it continues in how we see ourselves, how we talk to one another. Sometimes I could be speaking to someone briefly, and it will change my whole day. Feeling good about myself. I'm not feeling isolated. And I just feel like, peer support really in action actually does work. Now, here's another picture. These are people in our consumer survivor movement. It's a little blurry, but there's people in the movement that really started. Judy Chamberlain is there, who wrote On Our Own. She's no longer here. There's Laura Prescott, there's Pat Preserve, there's so many really icons and who were fighting for rights, and some of the things that we have today in terms of recovery and support happened with some of my ancestors. Also, Howard Z. Hart, who I didn't know, really came to New York City and started the training program. He really had a good vision that he really wanted it to be for people to be empowered to work. And he really did a successful job. He didn't continue it, but it continues today. It's a wonderful program. So human rights is always going to continue. I may not be here, you may not be here, but I'm a believer in history and really teaching people and talking to people about what's needed for our future. I think that's very important. And the legacy continues. I have been back and forth to Ghana, realizing my father's dream, which is to build a house, but I think it's more than he wanted. So it'll be for my grandchildren, his great-grandchildren, and whoever else will carry that on. This is my Freedom Ghana. They were actually at my dad's funeral. And they came all the way from Accra. Now, my dad was living in Elmina, which is 4 or 5 hours. Traffic is horrible, but they came, and I really felt really supported.
Okay, thank you very much.